What about the women? The women who had been for a long time trying to get the right to drive, these feminist activists, they're in jail.
And he got this tremendous fan base, and he was doing big things. And on December 14th, 2017, New Britain police, they took Zoe away from us. They took our world from us.
Hello, my name is Stanley Heller. Welcome to The Struggle. As we record, news arrives of the murder of 11 Jews in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, at the hands of an anti-Semite. The sea of hatred of immigrants and women and blacks and Muslims and Middle Easterners is overflowing its bounds, inspiring all kinds of derangement and murder. We need an anti-hater front, or we're going to go under. Ever hear of Rukban? It's a tiny triangle of land in Syria near the border with Jordan and Iraq. There's 55,000 people there under siege, now starving. 80% are women and children. The amazing thing is that just miles away is an American military base inside of Syria called Al-Tanf. The New York Times says it's actually in a demilitarized zone proclaimed around the U.S. base. But the base gives it nothing. Hashtag Trump send food to Rukban. Coming up on Friday, November 16th in Connecticut, a meeting on Syria featuring singer Dylan Connor and Syrian photographer Bassem Khabia. We're working out the date and details. Keep an eye at thestruggle.org. Now, a story that our Middle East Crisis Committee has broken that has got enormous Connecticut and even national attention. The University of New Haven has a connection to Saudi Arabia. For over a year, we've been complaining that UNH is helping a police college in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Then, after the murder of Jamal Khashoggi, we were looking around at some Saudi sites and we found something very disturbing. That the person that Turkish sources claim did the actual killing of Khashoggi, a man named Salah al-Tubaigi, he's on an editorial board of a magazine of a Saudi forensic society, along with UNH's world-famous forensic expert, Henry C. Lee. On October 26th, I talked with Amy Goodman about this on Democracy Now!
Salah Mohammed al-Tubaigi, a leading forensic doctor, member of the Society of Forensic Medicine at King Fahd Security College. Can you explain how that relates to the University of New Haven?
We had objected to the University of New Haven having any ties with that King Fahd Security College or Saudi Arabia as a whole. And then after the Khashoggi killing, we looked at websites and noticed that the editorial board of a top Saudi forensic society included Salah al-Tubaigi and Henry C. Lee, who is the famous forensic scientist at the University of New Haven. And so this is what we brought up. At first, the university said that we think there are two al-Tubaigis. We're getting this information from the Saudis. But that pretty much has been exploded. And the name Salah al-Tubaigi has been taken off that editorial board's website. Then the university said and says, well, we're proud of what we do. We're improving the justice system of Saudi Arabia. And our response was, well, what are the facts about this? What evidence? Have you been able to convince the Saudi government to give the remains of Sheikh Nimr al-Nimr back to his family? They executed this peaceful activist at the beginning of 2016, and his body has not been returned. Have they canceled the sentence of 1,000 lashes against Raif Badawi? What about the women who had been for a long time trying to get the right to drive, these feminist activists? They're in jail. How is the Saudi justice system improved? And as a last example, what about what happened when they grabbed the Saudi billionaires last fall? Was there any kind of due process? They stuck them in a hotel, the Ritz-Carlton.
The Crown Prince, what you're talking about, had this group of princes held.
That's right. And they were held in this hotel. They coughed up billions of dollars, and then they let them go. Was there any due process? Was there any lawyers involved? Any charges? Anything given to the public about this? And of course, the answer is no. So how is UNH helping? This is wrong, and that's the big scandal. UNH, none of these colleges should be helping. There's also the question of Yale University, if we can get into that. You mentioned the $10 million this billionaire Kamel family has given to the Yale Law School. We objected to that when that first happened a while back. But what we said is, all right, you have this Islamic center, you're interested in law, Yale University, let's have an emergency conference talking about the state of law in Saudi Arabia. So we sent a letter to the Yale University. We've mentioned this to the press. We have not yet gotten an answer from Yale. But students at universities around the country should use this opportunity and have conferences of their own. We used to call them teach-ins. It was a combination of a conference and a protest. So we shouldn't lose this opportunity. There should be protests like occurred at MIT. There were protests, effective ones, against cluster bombs in Rhode Island. This goes back a couple of years ago, and the Obama administration actually stopped it. And there's been the marvelous Code Pink protests in Washington, D.C., where they make those mock pictures of Prince Salman, and they have they had one with the royal bone saw, a grisly reminder of what happened in Turkey. So people should get out and protest. And then they should coordinate. Get a hold of us, saudius.org. Contact us to coordinate their protest and educational activities. And also note rpm.world, which is a new anti-war network which combines support for Palestinians and the Syrian democracy movement in opposition to the Saudis and our road to climate destruction. In the moment, I was unclear about one thing. Henry Lee and Al-Tubaigi were not both on the governing board of the Saudi Society for Forensic Medicine, but on the editorial board of that society's magazine. I want to clarify that. Now look at the evidence about the editorial board. Here are some screenshots. This is from October 19, the top of the page. The section that mentions Professor Lee and the bottom where Al-Tubaigi is listed. Now the same website. Professor Lee is still named as being on the editorial board, but now Al-Tubaigi's name is not to be seen. We are calling for a full outside investigation of UNH collaboration with that Saudi police college. We also call for forums and teach-ins at UNH, at Yale, and at other colleges to discuss any kind of cooperation between college administrations and Saudi Arabia. Now, why do I mention Yale specifically? A couple of years ago, Yale Law School accepted a $10 million gift from a Saudi billionaire family to establish at the school a division to study Islamic law. The Middle East Crisis Committee, of which this program is a project, criticized the acceptance of the gift because of what appeared to be connections between that family and the Saudi government, and because of other matters. At minimum, shouldn't the division at the Yale Law School right now hold a conference, an emergency conference, to discuss the state of law in Saudi Arabia? We suggested as much to the officials leading Yale Law School. We hope they respond positively. If not, Yale Law School students should hold the conference themselves. Despite its name, the University of New Haven is basically in West Haven, Connecticut. We're calling a public meeting on Thursday, November 8th at 4 p.m. in the West Haven Public Library to discuss and protest the UNH-Saudi regime connection. UNH and Yale students and political leaders especially welcome. We'll end our coverage of Saudi with this tweet. A son of Jamal Khashoggi, who reportedly had not been allowed out of Saudi Arabia, was brought in front of Prince Salman. The tweet by Manal al-Sharif. They brought him to the royal court to accept condolences. The look on his face, it makes me want to scream. The son has now been allowed to leave the kingdom. Now to New Britain, Connecticut, where a young man named Zoe Dowdell was killed by police last December. Police say he was spotted in a car allegedly used in violent robberies and, quote, struck police vehicles and drove toward officers in an attempt to flee, unquote. He was shot multiple times. Protesters say 50 shots hit the vehicle.
As all of you guys know, we're here for Zoe Dowdell, who was brutally murdered by New Britain police in New Britain, Connecticut. And we're here to call for justice, to release the tapes. And we're here not just for Zoe, but we're here for all victims of police brutality in Connecticut and in this country.
Ashe, blessings and manifestations. Thank you everyone for coming here tonight. As they say, you could have been anywhere, but you decided to be here for Zoe, for Noah, and for Caleb. It's unfortunate that we're here again, naming new names to an ever-evolving, growing list of people that the police in Connecticut think don't matter. They thought that they could kill another one of our babies and we wouldn't be here. I have a son too. He's 14 years old. And I'll be damned if I let anybody take his life without holding them accountable. We can't do this alone. You see how they out here monitoring us? They out here creating divisive spaces. They're trying to break us up. They're trying to take us off of our thought processes for Zoe, for Noah, for Caleb, and everyone else has been murdered or maimed by police officers. New Britain is a particular area because, as you can see, they like to seem like they're not out here monitoring us. They have veiled threats all over. We got undercovers behind us, undercovers on the side of us. They're out here monitoring us. However, they should be monitoring themselves. For every baby they take from us, they break us down. They try to take from us the very thing that they can't. Our hope, our will, our passion, our love. They try to make us not care about us anymore. I care. We care. We're never going to let their names ever go asunder. Ashe, blessings and manifestations. Ashe. No justice!
No peace!
No justice!
No peace!
No justice!
No peace!
We out here for Zoe and the two youth, Noah and Caleb, who was shot at. Zoe was killed. The New Britain police shot at this car over 50 times. No justice!
No peace!
No racist!
Police!
No justice!
No peace!
No racist!
Police!
In the past 2 years in the state of Connecticut, since April 2016 to October 2018, 18 people have been murdered around this state, including Zoe Dowdwell. Zoe was a teenager. Zoe had rights to due process. The police have no right, the New Britain police had no right to act as judge, jury, and executioner. Are y'all with me?
Yes!
They had no right to take Zoe's life that night. Are y'all with me?
Yes!
I understand that Zoe's friend yelled to the police officers that he was dead. They said, hands up. They said, hands up. Don't shoot. 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 Hands up. Don't shoot.
Hands up! Don't shoot! Hands up! Don't shoot!
And they shot him 50 times. For what? I want justice for Zoe. And I want Noah and Caleb released right now. And we will be building a movement until they are. We are standing out here for Zoe. We are standing out here for Jason the Grown. We got people out here from Bridgeport, from New Haven, from Hartford. We will converge on New Britain. The same way we converged on Bridgeport. Yes. To get the justice we need. No justice.
No peace!
No justice.
No peace!
No racist.
Police!
No racist.
Police!
No justice.
No peace!
No justice.
No peace!
No racist.
Police!
No racist.
Police!
No justice.
No peace!
No racist.
Police!
Yeah, I want y'all to give a warm welcome to D. Zoe's mother, she's gonna speak on her family's behalf, on her behalf, on Zoe's behalf. Please give her a warm welcome to this mic. I'm Zoe's stepmom, and I just want to thank everyone for coming first, and just let you guys know the type of kid Zoe was. Zoe was a very energetic kid growing up, and he finally found his talent, which was music, and he put all of his energy into his music, and he got this tremendous fan base, and he was doing big things. And on December 14th, 2017, New Britain police, they took Zoe away from us. They took our world from us. Our world was ripped from us. They took our light.
Zoe was the happy kid. Out of all the kids we have, Zoe was the happy one. Zoe made everyone happy. If you knew Zoe, you had a funny story to tell about Zoe. And Zoe was that type of kid. He'd go over your house and he would leave something. So everywhere he went, he left a piece of clothing at your house. He was a happy kid. He didn't deserve this. He didn't deserve to get shot down in the street like a wild animal. If you saw the car, that car was shot up. There were no windows left in the car. Everything was shot up. Now, how can you not say that they were not trying to murder all three of those boys? All three of them. But they got mine. They took mine. And my world will never be the same. His dad world, his mom world, his sisters, his brothers. We have to live with this every goddamn day. And it hurts. It hurts so bad. And the Brand Police Department has yet to knock on our door and say we killed your son. We weren't even allowed to go view the body. They asked for a picture. It was a whole week before we got to see his body, which was on his dad's birthday. So that's something else we have to live with now. We want justice. We want justice for Zoe. I want all 5 of those officers in jail. That's where they need to be. They're murderers. They are all murderers. They murdered my son. They murdered him. What do we want?
Justice!
What do we want?
Justice!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
When do we want it?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
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 Next, we're calling Jazz to speak. Jazz is Jason Negron's sister. Jason Negron was gunned down months before Zoe, May 9th, 2017. Jazz is here to be in solidarity with Zoe's family and with Noah and Caleb, and she's here to speak in support. Welcome, Jazz, y'all.
Can you hear me? Okay. I had written a bunch of things that I wanted to say, but standing out here brought me right back to the day that my brother was killed, and it just brought me back to everything that we had went through, and hearing Zoe's story and hearing the type of person he was, the smile he was, the music he had, everything that was him. I think people just forget that these are not just stories that you hear on the news and you just keep listening to it like this isn't our pain, like somebody didn't die and we had to see it. I witnessed my brother's laying body on the ground, handcuffed, bleeding out, and there was nothing that I could do about it. And the officer that killed my brother is working for the police department. So I don't want that to happen to Zoe, and I'm here to fight for him like if he was my own brother. I'm here to fight for him. I'm here to fight for his friends. And the problem is that we don't unite as a body. We're not that far away from each other. We all have to come together and realize that this is a problem that's going to keep happening. After my brother, after Zoe, Corbin Cooper was killed in Bridgeport. Jarrell was killed in Hamden. I mean, it's a pattern that just continues to happen over and over again. There's going to be more names that continue to come out. And I'm tired of us going to cemeteries, us going to jails to visit our loved ones, but these cops are going home and hugging their family. It's really crazy, and I'm just tired of seeing this pain. I'm tired. I know exactly what it feels like. Every day I think of my brother, I wake up, and it's just an everlasting pain. So I'm in this fight forever. There's no way that I could do anything else. And I'm gonna fight for Zoe, I'm gonna fight for Caleb, and I'm gonna fight for Noah.
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now! Justice! No peace! No racist! Police! No peace! No racist! Police! No justice! No peace! No racist! Police! No.
I can't say I've studied this case in detail, but let me repeat. Why does the average police officer in the United States have a gun? If these officers had not been armed with guns, the whole incident might have ended up very differently and without injury to all the parties involved. In Britain, only special police have guns. And in that country, the number of people killed by police gunfire is only a handful each year. The following is from a demonstration against Henry Kissinger, who was speaking in New York at NYU. Incredibly, the elites still want to listen to this man. After his catastrophes in Chile, East Timor, and especially Vietnam, I can't imagine why even the 1% want to hear from him.
Shame on you, NYU! Shame on you, NYU! Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you!
We've had an archive about Henry Kissinger on the Struggle website for some time. Also, on thestruggle.org, a new archive, this one about India. That's our program for tonight. See you next week at this time. I'm Stanley Heller for The Struggle.